coming up on the Lead Ministry Podcast.
Serving in ministry is a spiritual life hack.
Yes.
To get deep, to go deeper and to mature in your faith and to really grab a hold of and have ownership in following Jesus.
Now your host, Josh Denhart.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lead Ministry Podcast. Hey, listen, we're making our way through this year, and as you know, we're taking a new approach this year, and we're excited because we're taking these like 12 really important, what I'm calling core ministry concepts, and we're really doing a super deep dive and saturating you as the leader with a single topic, whether it's through the podcast, through a webinar, through the courses, through a special ebook that we're giving you. Bottom line, we're doing a deep dive into one topic. Our first big run at this was with retaining volunteers. We then moved to training volunteers. We hit how to lead meetings, and now we're talking about how to execute a very special internship program. And you might be like, why would I want an internship program? Well, an internship can really catapult you, and it can really pour into the big picture of the Big C Church. Well, again, my name is Josh Denhart. I'm grateful that you're here. Thank you for joining the Lead Ministry Podcast today. Don't forget, if you are a member of the Lead Ministry ecosystem, you have some very special podcast extras that you can download, and maybe even coming up soon, we're going to have ourselves some bonus episodes. So good to see you, Bill Van Kirk.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Yeah, man, this is exciting. I'm always grateful to have you on here. You're such a friend. You're such a seasoned ministry voice. And one thing that you said, you've said it a number of times. Tell us as an intro to this idea about having an intern. Talk to us about your general dislike for friction.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a framework that I often think about in my life, and I have gotten really good at noticing unnecessary points of friction in my life.
Yeah.
And I often think about things is in business or in ministry or in life.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it comes down to solving problems. That's what you're doing. Or, as I like to say, reducing friction. And as I think about church ministry, and I think about all the things that we need to accomplish, often the way we reduce friction is by people, by plugging people into areas of ministry where we need a little bit extra help. And also, when you zoom out in the big scheme of things, there's a huge friction point in the church in how are we raising up the next leaders? If you ever get scared about that, well, internships can be a perfect way to begin to raise up the next generation of leaders who are going to take the church to the next level.
That's exactly right. And that's what we're talking about today. So we are here on the Lead Ministry Podcast. We're talking about the value of a ministry internship. Now, somebody out there, I've had plenty of people, Bill, they're like, oh, I would love to, but I bet I can't. And I'm telling you, it's not as hard as you think it is. Now, we're going to define it. This is our first big bucket. We're going to develop it and talk about why this internship thing is important. And then we're going to really kick into it's achievable and you can do it. So we're going to define it, we're going to develop it, and then we're going to do it. So what is a ministry internship? Well, a definition for an intern is a person who works as an apprentice or a trainee in an occupation or a profession to gain practical experience. That is an intern. You are an apprentice. You are a youngling. You are, a trainee who is learning this trade called ministry. Now, Bill, have you ever had an intern?
Oh, I've had an intern and I've been an intern multiple times.
both and this is perfect. Well,
yeah.
I have had quite a few interns, and they are a beautiful thing to help me move ministry forward, but to pour into them at such a critical time. It's almost as if, okay, now, Bill, this is going to be weird. I hope this isn't weird. So I got all these different degrees in science and in chemistry and biology and stuff. And yes, I am going to flip to my other camera to show you the periodic table on my very own wall. But Bill, I was in college when like they first figured out that you could cut DNA and then splice in different DNA. So I took a banana and I cut the DNA of a banana and then I spliced in a different piece of DNA. It sealed up, and then I had new banana DNA that had new stuff inside. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of freaky. But I got to tell you, that's how I view an internship, is that they come into me and then all of a sudden I go, it's called a CRISPR, snip, snip. And then I split it apart, and then I go, I'm going to now deposit within you some life and ministry principles that are going to change you forever. And I'm altering, in a sense, their spiritual and their practical DNA.
I love that. And that actually feels like what happened to me in my internships. I still to this day, the internship that I did in college, I was going to Moody Bible Institute in Chicago, and I got a call from a friend's church in Houston, Texas. And I went down there for a whole summer and did a youth ministry internship. And I still draw on the DNA and the lessons that I learned in that one summer to this day.
Life-changing.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, I got goosebumps, man. I actually could get emotional because like you're so impressionable. And all of a sudden somebody's pouring in life and they're showing you stuff and you're just like, your eyes are wide open and you have this deep drink of this goblet of ministry and you're kind of like, I love this. And then you take things with you that have, listen, if that leader in Texas could hear this podcast and understand that their investment is still bearing fruit right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's, I feel convicted to reach out and to share it.
I literally think you should. I literally have like visible goosebumps because it is an investment. And if you're out there and you're listening to this and you don't have a summer, you're like, wait a minute, summer, Josh, it's December. It's the first week of December. Time out. This is the time that you need to start executing your infrastructure. And by the way, I'm going to be honest with you, creating an internship is filled with friction. Stick with me.
Yes.
It's not easy to build an internship program, except unless you have leadministry.com. We'll get to that later. But if I think of friction, here's often what happens. Let's say that you need to move this cart or this box, this big wooden box from here, and you need to move it 1 mile down the road, and it looks daunting. And all of a sudden, before you start, some little goblins come up and they lift it up and they put the heaviest grade of sandpaper underneath. And so now it's even harder. That is friction. So, you need to come up with all of these different things. And I'm going to steal my own future thunder. We have called a program called Lead Interns. It is legitimately everything from start to finish. Job descriptions and FAQs and interview sheets and background checks and references, everything that you would need. It's literally print and implement. So we've reduced the friction for you to have an internship program. I am getting ahead of myself. So an internship is a person who works as an apprentice or a trainee. Okay, we get that. What's a synonym? Trainee, resident, student, apprentice, maybe even an understudy. And so these people are coming in, they're eager and they're hungry. Well, let's jump to this deeper piece. Let's develop this a little bit. What are the benefits of a ministry internship? Well, there's really two big buckets. We got benefits to the intern and benefits to the church. Let's start with the intern. What are the benefits to the intern? Well, there's one that's spiritual development. See, an intern is going to gain a deeper relationship with God, a deeper understanding of the gospel, and grow in confidence in their faith through dedicating themselves to some ministry work. Bill, back in the day, when I was a young Christian, a guy led me to the Lord, and I was excited, and he showed me how to read the Bible. That's awesome. And he showed me how to pray, and it was intense. We'll talk about this during the Multiply month coming up. But he literally taught me the foundations of walking with God, how to inductively study my Bible, how to have a journal and ask questions, how to attend church and get something out of it. He was teaching me all of those things. And I'm going to call that phase 1. And that's the basics of how to have the Christian living, reading, praying, attending church, even fellowship he taught me. Great. But then there was phase 2, which was learning how to now articulate this newfound faith and share it with somebody else. So he trained me how to communicate and have a cogent set of words to communicate that which had changed my life. So he not only taught me spiritual disciplines, he taught me how to share my faith. But then this is the third piece to this three-legged stool, and it's one of the most important. I signed up to serve as a camp counselor for an entire summer. And so up to this point, I'd been reading, I'd been fellowshipping, I'd been maybe telling people about my faith, but I had not been exercising my own unique gifts to make a contribution in the kingdom. And that's a huge missing piece for a lot of people. And I'm telling you, so many things and so much of my spiritual life was it was like in a video game when you unlock this big chest and all of a sudden you have this treasure. Me serving and figuring out this serving component to the Christian life unlocked everything.
I love that. Yeah, it's I say that often to people that serving in ministry is a spiritual life hack.
Yes.
To get deep, to go deeper and to mature in your faith and to really grab a hold of and have ownership in following Jesus.
That's exactly right. And so an intern, they're getting a great big dose of this. We're putting them into action, and this life hack, this spiritual life hack that you're mentioning, that's them getting in the game, right? And we can be a part of that. Now, another one is straight up hands-on experience. Interns get practical, real-world experience in various ministry facets. It's invaluable to the understanding of the day-to-day realities of vocational ministry. It's critical for them to go, oh my word, I didn't realize all of the things that take place in order for a Sunday morning to come together.
Yes, that was such my experience. I was like, oh, wow, ministry's hard. I thought you just sat around and drank coffee with people and then things happened. And it was wow, ministry's a lot of work. There's a lot of effort that goes into this.
That's right. And so exposing somebody not only to the idea that it takes a lot of effort, but also that you have gifts and abilities and you can help make this work. And it feels so unbelievably rewarding. So they not only get spiritual development, they get some hands-on experience, but another one is a huge piece. This is a often untapped piece of an internship. It's the discernment of calling. An internship provides a structured way for an individual to discern their calling and allow an intern to explore different areas of the church and of ministry to see what might fit best.
Yeah, that's so true. I think this one is huge because you don't really know your distinct calling or your distinct purpose until you begin to experience that, and somebody else looks at you and says, that's it. We didn't know this before this internship, but when you do this one thing, when you're up there teaching in front of this age group, or when you're over here, organizing this thing, that's your thing.
Yes.
And that helps people immensely discern their calling.
Yes. And so all of a sudden, when they're doing something and then all of a sudden, it all locks in and they experience this thing and somebody else comes along and says, do you realize that? And they're like, well, I didn't realize. Now so it's the locking in of them. Like, they're like, well, I just kind of thought that's normal. No, you're super beautifully designed abnormal.
Yes.
You're unique.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Now another piece to this, and this is so ubiquitous across the country. I've talked to plenty of people like this, but I've also worked at a camp, and then I went actually back to that camp to be a speaker, a full week-long speaker, and I would hang out and befriend and crash course disciple some of these different leaders at this camp, and some of them went to Moody, just for the record, and I would hang out with them and put on life on them and everything. And what was so funny is I said, a couple of them were like, yeah, I feel a sense of calling in ministry. So, well, what are you feeling called to? Youth pastor. I said, why? And they're like, well, and then as we talked, I was like, oh, so that's the only thing that you know about church.
Right. Yeah, it's like the default.
It's the default because they don't even know that there are a whole myriad of options to serve inside of the local church. And so one of the benefits of a internship is to give them exposure to a whole bunch of things. Now, I'm going to push pause for half a second. Inside of this Lead Interns course that we have, which totally develops the whole thing for you, it's already developed. You can copy, paste, print, put your church letterhead. It can look, all of a sudden you walk into your executive pastor's office and they're like, now what do you want to do? You want to start an internship? And you go, yep. And you lay out for them everything with your church letterhead. They're like, dang, old girl, oh boy, man, they put a lot of work in. Cheat code. They had lead interns and they just copied it and put it on their church letterhead and they look like a hero. That's exactly what I want. But part of the lead interns program is that you get a sheet that is 10 questions and you give those 10 questions to every single different staff member. And then you have your intern take that sheet and set up a meeting and have a 40-minute conversation to interview them about what it is that they do for the mission of God through the local church.
Ooh, I love that. That's really cool. What a neat experience.
Right? So it's already baked in, as opposed to somebody being like, oh, I should start an internship program. What should I do? Well, guess what? You should have them interview everybody at your church. Oh, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, we got that done for you. Print, implement, Okay, another big one is mentorship. Mentor. Interns can directly can learn directly from experiences of church leaders, observing their roles, gaining wisdom from their years of experience. And that's where that one sheet comes in, Bill. And by the way, I know somebody might be like, our counseling pastor, he's kind of busy. Everybody wants to talk about themselves.
It's true.
And so all of a sudden you got the executive pastor who's super busy and this young little intern. And by the way, the executive pastor has those questions ahead of time and the intern is able to ask those questions. The executive pastor is able to kind of carry on and tell about his life and his work and how he got into that. That's an easy 40 minutes for them. And it's really a piece to the broader picture mentorship. Now stick with me, Bill. When I've had an intern, they got a whole bunch of me, right? So they got lots of Josh input. However, I made them go to some other people to get micro inputs from them.
Yes, I like that. Yeah.
And so they're gaining some experience. So mentorship is huge. Here's another one, networking. Interns build a professional set of relationships with ministry leaders and other church community members, which will benefit them for their future career and ministry path. Networking is huge. When I worked at the summer camp every single year, when I was like a little counselor person, hoorah, here we go. Every speaker that was there, I sought them out. I befriended them. And I had a week of mentorship. I would make them come eat with me in my cabin so that we could talk. My cabin of kids would walk with them and we'd engage. It's about networking and getting to know other people.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, this is a whole piece that it doesn't get talked about as much in the church because we just call it fellowship or we just think it happens naturally.
Right.
But in the business world, networking is a huge thing. And I think we could learn a lot from it. We do need those circles of people and circles of influence for a ministry career and for what's going to happen in the future. And I think interns, man, what an opportunity for them to rub shoulders with the right people.
That's exactly right. Well, there's lots of benefits for an intern, but now let's talk about the benefits to the church of having an internship program. And again, somebody might be saying, Josh, it's December. Why are we talking about internships now? This is a summer thing. Well, here's the deal. If you don't build it now, and if you don't begin to invite people to be a part of your internship, all of the good college kids, like all of a sudden somebody's gonna be like, well, I'm gonna start inviting in the month of March and in April. Yep. Where have all the good ones gone? They're not going with you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is true, by the way. Like, it's inherently true in the college internship world. So like, I know the college ministry schools, you begin looking for your internship like right now in the month of December. You begin to look for what's going to happen this summer. So you got to be thinking about this in this month.
Yes. And then be prepared to snatch onto some really sharp college kids or some sharp high school kids. Both of these are great options. And by the way, let me put a quick disclaimer. There are plenty of people who have used lead interns to have a stay-at-home mom become an intern at church because she's super excited. She's got a proclivity toward ministry. She has a propensity toward dealing with people, and she's got a little extra time on her hands, and somebody invites that person, and then they just explode in terms of their leadership. So it doesn't have to be a college kid. It can be a person at your church who's a regular attender that you might be like, well, they're just a volunteer. No, take them deeper. You never know.
Right.
They could take over your job someday. Here we go. Interns. And then the benefit to the church. Well, it's increased productivity. This is like low-hanging fruit. An intern provides extra motivated help for some important projects, allowing church staff to stay focused on higher level things. And it really can boost the overall church productivity. This one's some pretty low-hanging fruit, Bill.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can get some stuff done. Now, I'm going to give a quick caveat. We'll get to this in a little bit. But an internship is not a low-paid like labor force that is just like grind it out. It's more than just work, but work is a piece to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think it's easy to like, an unpaid internship. Here we go. Like, oh, thank you so much that I get to work for the church and you work my fingers to the bone, right?
Yeah.
That's not the attitude that we're going into this with.
No. And even if it's paid or unpaid, it's not just a workforce. There's also spiritual development that goes along hand in hand. Well, here's the deal. You're looking at another benefit to the church is future ministry leaders. Interns and internships are a vital way for churches to mentor and develop the next generation of ministry leaders and lay leaders, ensuring that a qualified pipeline of individuals are prepped for a future in ministry. I can't emphasize this one enough. Listen, I think it's either next week on the podcast or the week after. We have an interview scheduled with Vance Martin. And Vance Martin, he has got some pretty scary stats about, because he does church headhunting across the country. Right. In other words, he is looking for candidates to put them with a good quality church. He is a matchmaker of church and people who need a church job. And he said, ringing the bell, we've got a problem. And part of the answer is an internship does develop future leaders. Okay, here's another benefit to the church with an internship: fresh perspectives. Interns bring fresh ideas and insights. They challenge the status quo and can identify new opportunities or needs. Now, for me, I always had these young college kids and I was like, ooh, wow, tell me about this new thing, YouTube. help me explore. You know what I mean? Or I mean, like that was my era. And Vimeo and how to edit video in a creative way that is phone friendly. This was all news to me. And there was no way that I was going to be exposed to that, but I had a fresh perspective from an intern. They're young and they've got some ideas. We got to listen though, don't we?
We do. Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Community impact. Interns can participate in outreach and service and make a positive impact on the community, helping the church fulfill its mission. This is a huge one. And part of my, by the way, lead interns, the whole program and all of this, lead interns, one of the things that we suggest is that the intern needs to have one major project. And part of that major project for us was you are going to undertake the low income apartment complex outreach that we're going to do 3 big events at this same apartment complex that we've done for the last 7 years. You're now in charge. And they're like, what? Yep. What's that going to entail? Well, step number 1, you need to go down and meet the front office person who's the kind of like the grounds maintenance manager, main person who says yes or no as to whether or not we can come in. They're like, that sounds scary. You're fine. Oh, okay. What do I say? Well, here's kind of a small script, but at the end of the day, like, you're a big girl, you figure it out. And so that's pushing them. So then we got a lot done and we had a community impact because they were spearheading that community outreach event.
Yeah. We did this in my internship as well. Like, each intern in this church was a large church. So they hired a lot of interns. Each intern had one specific thing over the summer where it's like, this is yours. You're doing it. You're in charge of it. You're doing the communication. You're doing the outreach. You're doing all the things. And it was like, I remember being like super overwhelmed by it. But that was one of the biggest pieces of me learning ministry was getting assigned my own thing.
Yeah, that lived and breathed and rose and fell on you. Now, little did you know, Bill, is that behind you, you had the support of a staff person who was taking care of some things and greasing the gears for you. I'll never forget when I was a student teacher, I was like, they handed it to me. They're like, okay, you're up. And I was like, oh my word, I was teaching in front of these kids and it was really exhausting. I was preparing in the evenings and then I became a teacher and I was like, oh my word, the amount of supports that supervising teacher was providing for me, those aren't here now that I have my own job.
The training wheels are off.
The training wheels are off. And so as an intern, they're going to think like you were like, oh my word, this is really huge. But we are behind the scenes and we're literally helping the baby duckling figure out how to walk in a non-awkward way to get in the water and start swimming. So you can have a community impact. And again, here's the final one, appreciation for ministry. Interns will gain a deeper appreciation for the church's leadership and operations among the congregation as full staff members, future staff members, and lay leaders and congregants. They're going to appreciate ministry more. Bill, as an intern, how did this matter to you?
Oh, it just made me realize how much time, dedication, passion, all the things go into ministry. And so I think even if I wouldn't have moved on to ministry, I think for the rest of my life, I would have said, man, there are people within the church who love Jesus and who are pouring out their lives behind the scene to make it happen. And some of them don't even get seen. Some of the people who are investing, who I met in my internship, never were up front for anything. They would never be known by anybody, but they are pouring out their lives for ministry. That gave me a deep appreciation for the church and the workers of the church.
Yes. Bill, you're bringing up such a good point. And in the case of you being an intern and learning some of those things, and then you have now stepped in and dedicated your entire life to full-time vocational ministry, I got to be honest with you, as I was reflecting, the interns that I had, not a one of them are in full-time vocational ministry, but every one of them go to a church. And so they are key volunteers at their church, but they had a deep, listen, Wherever my guy Jacob and my other guy Trey, where they ended up as church members, that church got a fantastic volunteer. And they're volunteering in their churches. The reason they got a fantastic volunteer is they went through a really intense internship program for multiple summers, and they know about church ministry.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
Whether they're going to be a staff person or not, it's still a value. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of the baseline of being kingdom minded.
Yes.
Internships is not just, oh, I get an intern and now I can do all these things. It's also understanding like you are investing in people who are building God's kingdom no matter where they land after they're with you.
That's exactly right. And they're going to be shaped. And so here's the last point, the let's do it part. Every church should have internships. And here's what I want to say. It's not that hard. We've spoken about it a little bit. I'm telling you, go to leadministry.com/lead-interns and do just a quick deep dive on the website. If you're not a member, listen, if you are a member of Lead Ministry, it is so simple for you to pull off an internship. It is done for you. And here's what I want to say just on the screen if you're watching it on YouTube. Everything. We have so much documentation. So many things are done for you that you could make this internship happen a lot faster than you might think. Well, gang, we're grateful that you're here. This is going to be a great month. We do have an upcoming webinar about how to start an internship. If you're a member of Lead Ministry, of course, those come with your membership. We would love anybody. By the way, Bill, the Lead Interns webinar has been one of the most popular webinars that I've ever done. The reason why is that people are like, I've always wanted to. I've had FOMO, a fear of missing out. Could I do it? And the answer is a big resounding yes. You can do it. Gang, this has been a good episode of the Lead Ministry podcast. Listen, an internship is not far out of reach. It's the month of December. I know it's busy. However, it is not that hard. Carve out some time so that you can be doubly effective this summer as you have a successful internship program. All right, gang, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Lead Ministry Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and visit leadvolunteers.com for more episodes and resources. Thanks for listening.